Hello and welcome to Newark City of Poets. I am your host, Jaleesa McEachin, and I am here today with Poet on Watch.
Yeah.
She is the author of Sage Burner, and she is a phenomenal poet. So, Poet on Watch, how did you come up with that name?
You know, I was in Houston doing an art residency with Project Row Houses, and we turned one of the row houses into a studio slash community radio station slash poet house. And so in the back of the poet house, they had an organic garden with these really big pea pods. And so it was myself and a couple of other poets. Cool B was one of our, a mentor for us. And so we would just sit down in the back, and I was like, you know what? Kind of like POWs.
Oh, okay.
And then it just came and was like, Poet on Watch. That's my name. That's what it's going to be. And that's my pen name, yeah.
That's really, really unique. So how long have you been writing poetry?
I think I've been writing poetry off and on. I'm originally, my first gift is I'm a filmmaker. And I kept trying to figure out how to write films and get funded for them, really. And then, I started following the poetry community. And so it enticed me. I say back in about 1999, I started writing heavily, writing poetry, because I started looking at them like short films. And so in that, it allowed me to be able to tell a story in a compact time and also have a complete story. So if I ever did want to just shoot them, I can. So I can say I've been writing since, 1998 maybe.
Well, what made you get started to writing poetry?
Because I was
1998 was a while ago.
So. It was a while ago because I started following poets, and I felt like they had something to say actually, and I work for an organization called the Media Arts and Literacy Institute. And so we try to give a voice to those marginalized communities that don't necessarily have access to, public television or access to any other broadcast medium. And poets kind of fell in that line for me. So as I started documenting poets, I was like I said, they were like short films to me.
So you feel that poets hold a certain responsibility as far as being the voice to the people in their community?
Well, I think writers in general have a responsibility just to be honest. And be honest in the writing, and how that might come out. I mean, journalists in this past year during all these protests, particularly the protests in Syria and in the Middle East, they've been getting killed,
right,
for being honest, and so I think that's all I can really do, when I bring my writing to the page, is to be honest, not only just with the public but with myself.
Now it's in poetry, it's there's different forms of writing, different styles. How do you feel that, because I know you're from Texas, so how do you feel that the poetry differs as far as the East Coast and the Midwest?
Well, I think that, we're considered Southwest.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I think the difference is really who you read. I'm a griot. And so for me, it's more about traveling the landscape regardless. If you could be in one box, then you could still travel. And that's the cool thing about writing, right? And so I think the difference that I see is the freedom of expression.
Right.
Because the landscape is real different. I think that on the East Coast, the transit is more readily available. People don't have to be in cars. And in Texas, if you don't have a car, then you're really poor because you can't move around. Because everything's so spread out. So you have to have a car. And particularly in the South in general, you have to have a car. And so it makes the poetry a little different, right? And so it's come almost a vernacular like hip hop. And so it's just dealing with NWA blew up in the on the West Coast, really in Texas big time. It's just gangster rap music, just that whole dialect. And I think that it also translates into poetry.
Right.
So as we just tell the stories of the landscape that we live in, I think as Black people in general, across the diaspora, we're speaking the same language, Just coming from this movie, Selma, this past week, for Martin Luther King's birthday, it was packed. I was really nice to see Ross Baraka decide to give the people the theater for $4.75. Can't beat that, you know, and it was dope. And I was like, you know, this movie, I don't know if I would have seen it in Texas. I mean, it's going to play eventually, but how many screens? This played on like 6, 7 screens? That's not going to happen in Texas. So yes, the landscape is different, right? And the dialect is different, and the freedom of expression is really different.
Now, you mentioned something about freedom of expression, and I believe that, you know, all people should have the freedom to express whatever they feel, right, especially the LGBT community, because that is a community that, you know, people tend to shun away from things, you know, and how do you work with the LGBT community? Because I know that you do. So could you explain a little bit about what you do?
Well, right now I'm working as a program director for the Newark LGBTQ Center on 11 Halsey Street. So drop in. We're looking for volunteers at the moment. So the programming is going to be really, really interesting. I'm really excited about working with this executive director, Janice Jackson Jones, Rev. And so we're going to see what we're going to put together. And so with that community, what I'm really interested in is seeing how the stories are told about being Black and being of Caribbean descent. Because what I'm noticing about Newark is that the landscape here is very Caribbean, right? And what does that mean to be out, you know, and how do we express ourselves in that language? And so that's what I'm really interested in. It's just listening and just hearing the stories of how are you a person of color in an urban city and of a certain age, between the age of 18 and 23, right? Because that's what we kind of specialize at the center. And so we have, but it's open to everybody. And so, but we particularly want to talk to that group of people, that demographics of LGBT youth, because I think that at some point people think that they're grown and they're not. You know, but folks throw them out in the street like, oh, okay. Or their parents find out that they're gay, and where do they have to go? You know, nowhere. And so I think that being able to help them document their stories and say the things that they want to say, as a program director, programming events there that embrace the community and also cross sections of oppression in our lives. So that could be a female, Black, queer, bisexual.
Right.
I mean, you can name them, right? So you get these labels, and I think that the community now is like leaning towards this whole thing about being fluid. Well, what is fluid? So those are the conversations we're having, right?
Right, and I agree that everyone has a story to tell.
Yeah, everyone has a story.
It looks like you have a story to tell with your new book, Sage Burning. So how did you come about writing that book? And the cover looks amazing, by the way.
Thank you. Well, Sage Burning was a 4-year project, and I put it out with another book. So it's two books came out at the same time. So it was an anthology called Grits, Girls Raised in the South, a Southern queer women writers of the South, right? So it was like 79, and it's really good. It's a really good book. And so then as I was thinking about my politics, and particularly my bedroom politics, you know, I know we're on a PG, so I have to keep this PG, but my bedroom politics and how in our intimate moments, is that political for us? For me it is. And so I started writing this new genre of political erotica. And because I think both, when you think about politics and you think about the erotic, like Audre Lorde says, the power of the erotic, and women's power, and what is our power? And our power is in our erotic. I think that society has turned it pornographic. And so that's another conversation. Seeing twerk videos and young kids and, you know, being able to sit back and interpret it, our sexuality at a young age, because you can't help but see it. You know, you turn on television, you see it. I look at my niece and I'm like, wait, what are you doing?
So it's like a freedom of expression.
Yeah.
But you have to know your worth. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
You can't cash your pearls.
So, like, I mean, I know you say you got to keep PG. So is there, like, any pieces that are your favorite?
Yeah, you know.
Even if it's not in this book.
I've been writing a lot lately since I've been here, because I'm about to put out a new book called Black Orchid.
Oh.
And so But Sage Burner is real special. It's like I said, it was a 4-year project, and it's my coming out project. And I think I'm saying some things I hadn't had a chance to really say. And so I think there's a piece in it that's called Let It Go. And it talks about having a party for your own sanity. And the gift of forgiveness. You know, people always say, oh, forgive your oppressors. It's really about when you forgive, you allowing yourself to live. It's not really for the other person, it's for you, you know, so that you can move forward. And so I said forgiveness is always for the person, for yourself. And so in that, Let It Go, I think it's a powerful piece. I really like that piece.
Okay. So it seems that you have a lot going on, and
Yeah.
you know, I do want to thank you for being on our show today.
Thank you.
This is wonderful, and I just want to thank you guys for watching, and until next time.
Thank you for having me on the show. I'm POW, that stands for Poet on Watch. And in this nation, we're supposed to operate on 100%. There's 85% of us that are deaf, dumb, and blind, won't get the knowledge, don't know how to go about getting the knowledge, and the rest, oh well. Now there's 10% of us that hoard the knowledge, that's the institutions, the corporations, and the libraries. So let your libraries be your headquarters for revolution. There's 5% of us that are the poor righteous teachers. I'm POW, that stands for Poet on Watch. And I'm bringing you the frequencies of the inner city. When women sit in one room, it's like a fierce sense of Mother Nature just sitting, standing still, a powerful movement. This mother's daughter is a thunder of passion. Trickling, oozing into the vessels of seedlings, birthing life on a page, white, blank, spinning verbs into action. Remember the freedom train to Beijing. Approximately 39,000 deep in one room. Global unity in the community, but we only met once. Like Africans and Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and Cubans and sweat car boxes and Palestinians, brothers and sisters trying to get their land free. In sweat car boxes, clawing for freedom, freedom, freedom. It's a freedom train. Love's like a freedom train. Whoop. Woo! Why? Because Black Lives Matter. When women sit in one room, hearts start pounding, fertile minds take flight, and all that is out of sync quickly tune into crystal clear clarity of our synergies. When women sit in one room, change starts to happen, because love's like a freedom train. Whoop, woo! Why? Because Black Lives Matter. I'm going to read a little bit from my latest book. It's entitled Poet on Watch, Sage Burners. You know, at times when I rise in the mornings, things, you know, stir up. Those early morning when you're getting up and you want to write between the hours of 2 and 5 in the morning, these compositions come up. Go on, child, dance, children, dance, vogue it out. I'm dancing, shouting now, stomping in my white tee, but silence is power, so I write. In the morning, let's have church in the woods when I rise. Near the maroons, Florida swamp lakes, lay low, stunned children, close to the earth. She has PMS. The belly of the beast is rumbling. Someone will get fed today. This ain't gonna be pretty. Get the hot water bottles out. Clean her surface wounds of all pain. Watch her topsoil of all human toxicity. Stop with the manure is not helpful now. Firelize her with any medium into which to help growth, development. Feed the love she needs, gives daily. Give sweet honey, but gold makes for the solid connection, because climate change is real. Assist us to stay humble, pray, breathe, pray, breathe. It's like yoga, I Ching, Buddha, running, pray.